Well, we're back. A whole bunch of people came in and didn't want to spoil the fun. So, yeah, everything you think you know is not even close.
A grayish orb would form in front of the operator within the gas. This was a stable wormhole to the probability dimension.
That sounds made up, but I love it. What the hell are you talking about?
The looking glass machine allowed the user to see past, present, and future. Seeing the past is interesting, but seeing the future, that's useful. But not only could you see the future, you could see possibilities of the future. The operator would mentally focus on an action. The operator could then see the probable outcome of this action. Like, what would happen if we invaded this country? Or what would happen if this particular person was assassinated? The output was captured by cameras and relayed to view screens. The researchers could feed questions to the operator and instantly see the results. This was highly useful. What they reported seeing covered an enormous range, from disaster events and weather anomalies to political outcomes and earth changes. Soon, looking glass operators learned how to steer events toward a specific goal. There was a problem, though. Different operators would see different things depending on their own biases. Like a Christian looking backwards will see the crucifixion of Christ. Atheists would just see Jerusalem. Looking forward was the same problem. Operators were seeing different future outcomes. Physicists and computer scientists were brought in to develop software to stabilize the process. Computer programs could feed the operator a lot of questions very quickly, and the results would come back fast. It worked, and it was useful. For a few years, thousands of choices were fed to operators, and thousands of possible timelines were seen. But in the late 1990s, MJ12 and its scientists became very nervous. They had many different psychic operators seeing all kinds of different future events, but none of them could see anything past 2012, specifically December 21st, 2012. The Mayan calendar ends on that date. All timelines converged on that date, and then nothing. There was nothing after that.
This isn't a good sign.
It's not. But the scientists had help. Not only did they have a P-52 spacecraft, they had the pilot. They called him a P-52 as in present plus 52. He was from 52,000 years in the future.
Holy sh**.
And the P-52 alien? He was human. On May 21st, 1953, a team of Air Force scientists were sent to a UFO crash site 8 miles northwest of Kingman, Arizona. One of these scientists was Arthur Stanzel, who signed an affidavit stating that he was an eyewitness to the Kingman UFO recovery operation. The craft had a brushed aluminum exterior and was about 30 feet wide. Inside were swivel seats, instruments, and display panels. Witnesses saw several bodies. They were about 4 feet tall with dark skin. They had small bodies and big heads with large black eyes.
After not pooping for 3 days, my mom was rushed to the hospital to have a log of poop surgically removed from her colon. So if you're constipated or
One of these beings was alive and taken to Area 51. He was from 52,000 years in the future, so he was classified a P-52.
Bang, bang, bang. On the door, baby, bang, bang. Do, do.
I can't hear you!
Bang, bang. You know, I prefer the earlier stuff. Yeah, Rock Lobster, Planet Claire.
Yeah, me too. The P-52 alien was nicknamed J-Rod.
J-Rod? Sounds like a hip-hop artist or a basketball player.
Well, his personal name was Kaela. J-Rod was his race. Specifically, Kaela was a P-52 J-Rod.
Got it.
Kaela was based in the Gliese system, in the direction of the constellation Aquarius. That's how Project Aquarius got its name. Now, although he was based in Gliese, Kaela was originally from the Zeta Reticuli system. Zeta Reticuli is well known to UFO researchers. In 1961, Betty and Barney Hill were abducted by beings who said they were from Zeta Reticuli. Betty wasn't an astronomer or scientist of any kind. Still, she was able to draw a star map of Zeta Reticuli, which is a binary star system. Her map also includes Gliese. Kaela's people were dealing with an illness that was devastating the population. His crew was one of many sent back in time to Earth to try to find a cure. The P-52 aliens are somewhat genetically compatible with humans. In their timeline, they're an offshoot of Homo sapiens. Kaela was eventually allowed to go home, but he spent years at Area 51. He helped save humanity from destruction in 2012. But MJ12 didn't realize that the 2012 apocalyptic event wasn't an accident. It was supposed to happen. It was engineered to happen.
Engineered by you.
Another race of future humans. The Stargate technology on the Sumerian cylinders is said to be a gift to humanity, but it's not a gift, it's a weapon. And on a different timeline, it destroyed us. There's a timeline where, on December 21st, 2012, a disaster took place. There was a massive geophysical pole shift of almost 5 degrees. The shift was caused by the Earth's upper mantle reacting to a massive explosion of energy from the sun. This shift caused a chain reaction in the Earth's tectonic plates. The Earth trembled with an intensity never before recorded. Cities near the epicenters of these shifts were the first to feel the effects. Buildings designed to withstand earthquakes crumbled like sandcastles. The seismic waves radiated outward, reaching every part of the planet. No one was safe. As the crust shifted, it wasn't just land that was affected. Under the ocean, the violent movement of the seabed caused enormous tsunamis. Coastal cities were obliterated by walls of water rushing at tremendous speeds. Inland, the story was just as grim. Landslides and sinkholes swallowed entire towns. Mountains that had stood for millions of years crumbled. In other places, land was thrust upward, creating new mountain ranges. Dormant volcanoes came to life with explosive eruptions. The atmosphere around the entire planet was filled with ash. The sky went black. In the aftermath, the Earth was unrecognizable. The geography of the continents was completely different. Some land masses fractured into islands. Other land masses merged. New seas were created from cracks in the Earth. Some ancient rivers changed course. Others were just gone. Countries struggled to assess the damage and coordinate aid. Critical infrastructure was destroyed, and global communication networks no longer functioned. This global cataclysm killed 2/3 of the world's population and led to the extinction of many species. The surface of the Earth was in ruin. The volcanic ash had poisoned the atmosphere and blocked sunlight for years. The entire food chain collapsed. But humans didn't go extinct. The survivors went underground and rebuilt civilization. Over thousands of years, our ability to manipulate time and space grew more and more powerful. We could alter our DNA in real time. We could manipulate our physical form. The form that was most beneficial for surviving underground was a smaller, thinner body. Our brains grew larger, so did our skulls. Large, dark eyes helped us see in the darkness. We became what are described as the Greys. The Greys we see now aren't aliens. They're us, 45,000 years in the future. Majestic 12 calls them P45s. P45s, future humans, were able to unlock a lot of potential from the human brain. They learned telepathic communication and how to manipulate space and time with thought. But this evolution had a downside. Future humans lost their humanity. They became emotionless and cold. They became selfish drones, interested only in serving their own needs. People who've been abducted by Greys describe them exactly like this, uncaring and almost robotic. They're experimenting on humans to improve their own future. The experiments focus on human DNA analysis and how that can be spliced with P45 DNA or even other animals' DNA in order to improve their own genetic future. But here's where it's scary. The P45 Greys wanted that cataclysm to happen in 2012. They still want it. They need it to happen so they can come into existence.
Yeah, but it didn't happen.
No, it didn't. Kaela, the P52 alien, had the looking glass machines turned off for a few years.
Why?
Well, it was using this technology that created the disaster in 2012. The artificial wormholes were disrupting the magnetic energy of the sun.
So we're safe now, right?
Oh no, we're not safe. We're not safe at all. The Greys either are or are controlling the Illuminati. The Illuminati still want this disaster to happen. Fewer people on the planet means they have more control.
Eat bugs, live in a pod, own nothing and be happy.
Exactly. And keep people terrified of overpopulation by controlling world leaders and use the media to disseminate propaganda. all to create fear, so hatred and ideally lead us to nuclear war. There is another timeline split coming in 2030. One timeline shows humanity awakening. This timeline ushers in a new era of peace. Humanity learns telepathy, and all the lies we've been told are suddenly revealed. If you have questions about who killed JFK or what happened on 9/11, you'll know. Every deception will be exposed, like a cloud lifting from over our entire species. Or there's the other timeline, where there's a disaster. And if you're lucky enough to survive, your role will be one of servitude. You'll be enslaved by the powerful simply to survive. Right now, there's a secret war being fought. On one side, the P-52s and a few white hat operators in the military and the government steering us toward timeline 1, the positive timeline. On the other side, the P-45s, the Illuminati and the world's elites, pushing us toward timeline 2, the apocalypse. If you look for it, you can see them preparing. In all of history, there have never been more underground bunkers being built. It's said that underneath Denver Airport will be their new headquarters. This will be one of the many safe places around the world where those in power can wait out the coming storm.
We're not one of those people, are we?
We are not, and neither are you. If we end up on the wrong timeline, we're doomed. Timeline 1, peace, compassion, and kindness. Timeline 2, chaos, war, and hatred. Which path do you think we're on?
American dentists are shocked.
Well, we're on both of those. And both of those are going to come about. You're the decider. Which side do you want to be on? Right? Go read Whitley Strieber's novel 2012. Gives you a good idea. So between now and 2030, how many years is that? We're at 23, so that's 7 years. Goes by quick. That's why I'm out in the woods. That's why I have nothing, That's why I'm kind and sweet and compassionate to everyone I bump into, right? And I do my best to, in every day, in every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. That's why I do this show, to give you a little insight, a little positive motivation, and that's what it's about. Not fear and anger and selfishness. No, it's not that. It's not what it's about, right? So that's what I'm looking for in talking to you. Is are you ready to be your best, right? Starting right now. As soon as the show is over, are you going to be your best? Or are you going to be stuck in fear and anxiety, right? So, WF is a good show to watch.
And the problem starts right here, in the bathroom. Do you see the problem? Like most people, this person is relying on a toothbrush and mouthwash to clean their teeth. But dental experts at both Harvard Medical School and the Cleveland Clinic are warning them.
The story of Project Looking Glass comes from 3 whistleblowers: Bob Lazar, Bill Wood, and Dan Burish. Most of today's story was from Dan, and it has everything. Time-traveling aliens fighting for the future of humanity. I mean, it's a ride. But is it true? Well, the stories like this, time travel to the future, you can't really debunk them, at least not fully. But we can look at the people telling the story. First off, this episode was difficult to write because a lot of the stories contradict each other. Are humans from Earth and we eventually leave and become P-whatevers? Or humans were brought here from somewhere else? There are contradictions. Dan Burish tells a wild story, and he tells it well, and with feeling. But he has his detractors. Before he was Dan Burish, he was Dan Crane. He says he worked at the underground S4 lab near Area 51. This place was made public by Bob Lazar. Lazar said anyone who believes this guy should be ashamed of themselves. He said he never met this knucklehead.
Knucklehead?
His words. Dan said that he worked with an alien and they became friends. He also said he met angels in the lab and spoke to them in Hebrew. He claimed to be in the military with the rank of captain, but there's no record of that. He said he got his PhD in 1990 from Stony Brook University in New York. When Stony Brook said they never heard of him, he said they covered up his records. It was discovered that during the time that he said he was working at the S4 lab, he was actually working as a parole officer in Las Vegas. There's documentation of this. When that was uncovered, he said that was his cover job, and he got his PhD by flying back and forth to New York on the weekends, and the government paid for all this. Stony Brook said this is ridiculous. His finances show he wasn't earning much money working at a top-secret lab. He said he wasn't paid in money, but he was taken care of.
Hey, what does that mean?
No idea. He wasn't that well taken care of. He filed for bankruptcy in 2002. His listed occupation was homemaker, and he had assets of about $300 plus one 1997 Suzuki that wasn't fully paid for. Now, none of this means he's lying, but when you tell a story like this, people are going to pay attention, and they're going to look into the person telling the story. As people looked into Dan, he went on the defensive over and over. He's been challenged by George Norrie to take a lie detector test. He won't. A lot of the investigation was done by George Knapp. George Knapp knows his way around a UFO story, and he doesn't buy this one.
What really pisses me off is when I get told what has or has not happened to me by these people. They have no right to open their mouth. I'm sorry for screaming at you.
It sounds like Dan is building off of Bob Lazar's story. He also sounds like he built on the story told by Bill Uhouse, who was the first to mention J-rods. But Dan has added a lot of science fiction tropes. He's jammed so many details into his story that it reads like the syllabus for a conspiracy course. Illuminati, every kind of alien ever mentioned, Men in Black, bases on the moon, time travel, lizard people, and on and on. I've noticed that many of the people who tell these stories tend to pack in all this stuff. It makes it harder to believe. Bob Lazar does.
Okay. So he's a good storyteller. That should not take away from the story. Even if he's lying, even if he never did any of that, you need to look at the story. That's what I do here. Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. I'm here to give you the skill set to go into state and listen to the story, right? Say, what's going on?
Bob Lazar doesn't weave an elaborate tale about lizard people.
Listen.
He talks about the projects he personally worked on. Now, you can believe his story or not, I find him one of the more believable whistleblowers. And the time travel stuff doesn't make sense. Dan says there are timelines that branch off, but the aliens come back in time to affect their future.
1.21 gigawatts.
Right. If time travel works like the movie Back to the Future, then there's only one timeline. But he says there are branching timelines in a multiverse. So which is it? Another reason to be skeptical is believers in this story say that the chronovisor is a looking glass device. That's a machine that allows you to see through time. It's allegedly kept in the Vatican secret archives. It was developed by Father Pellegrino Ernetti in the early 1950s. It's a good story, and I linked to a video about it below. Father Ernetti even took pictures of Christ. I can't prove the chronovisor is fake, but I do know that the pictures were fake. These same believers also refer to the book by Chan Thomas, The Adam and Eve Story. The book describes a pole shift apocalypse. This was such a dangerous book that it was allegedly classified by the CIA, and only a small portion of the book has ever been seen. Well, I've covered the Adam and Eve story before. Spoiler alert, I debunk it. So if believers of the Project Looking Glass story are using debunked stories as their foundation, I'm already going in skeptical. On the other hand, it's interesting that Zeta Reticuli and Gliese came up. Zeta Reticuli is about 39 light years away, and the two stars are similar to ours. Astronomers are looking for exoplanets there because the system might be able to support life. But Zeta Reticuli was part of Betty Hill's abduction story, so it makes sense that a hoaxer would add that detail. But Gliese was an interesting choice. Gliese 581 is a dwarf star about 20 light years away, so relatively close. 3 exoplanets have been found there, and Gliese 581c is possibly in the habitable zone and could support life. At the time, it was called the most Earth-like of all known. 2007, so maybe Dan heard about it in the news. But if you'd heard about Gliese from an alien, you'd think he'd know how to pronounce it. In 2008, a radio signal was sent to Gliese 581c. It's called a Message from Earth, or AMFE, and it contains 501 different messages. The signal will reach the planet in early 2029.
Just before the next timeline switch.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Whether you believe this specific story or not, I think you can feel that something is happening. I feel it. Dan's story might be far-fetched, but there's plenty of evidence that the CIA and other black ops programs have experimented with psychics, remote viewing, and even time travel. We know that they did this, so we have to stay diligent, just in case a timeline shift is coming. So pay close attention to the powerful elites. Which timeline are they steering us toward?
The future is not just happening. The future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
Do they want us to have more freedom, more safety, and more unity? Or do the elites and the media who serve them want to remove our freedoms one by one? If we do as we're told, humanity will finally be united, live in peace and prosper. Well, that's what they say. Do you feel safer today than a few years ago? Do you feel more united with people? Is the earth a peaceful place? 2030 is only a few years away, and it's coming fast. But we still have time. We still have a chance to steer humanity toward the positive timeline. The powerful don't want that to happen. They want us to hate each other and destroy each other. They want chaos and war, and ideally a world war. And from the ashes and rubble of their war, they will build a new world. Their world without us. Whether you believe the two timeline story or not, something is happening. The lines have been drawn, and it's time for you to pick a side.
Yep, it's time for you to pick a side.
Transgender. It's made very.
Oh. So are you guys gonna decorate the whole place?
We're just gonna put up a little couple of cents lines.
Because you got so much stuff to hang lights off of.
Like, I go on top. Yeah, we're just probably do that in that little area with the bridge.
Uh-huh.
See what I did? That's the next side.
What did you do?
She's being mean.
She's being mean. No, not her. No.
Put my name on top.
Oh, I get it.
Here's Tammy. You want to go to the top with me?
So that's it. It's up to you guys. You're the decider. Which world do you want? One that's a chaos war. I mean, you want every place to look like Gaza, every place to look like Ukraine, every place to look like Darfur, every place to look like whatever other war zone that's burning all over this planet. And they don't have to. I mean, those conflicts did not occur. You know, the one in Africa where the two armies, you know, that should be one army, basically said, hey, let's fight. I'll fight you. You fight me. We'll kill all the people, and then we'll have all this oil and gold and minerals to ourselves. That's what they're doing. You haven't figured that out. Good luck. And that's going to happen in your neighborhood. It already is. You know, just go look at what good old Robert Moses did with highways. You know, the United States interstate system was built by the Defense Department. You know, when I was a kid, all those interstates had a military highway on the sign. Right? They took that off. So anyway, no one's seeming to say anything. Let's see how many people are watching. One person and one thumbs up. Any comments? You know, get a hold of me at the dudewake42@gmail. I'll send you my novels. And what you just saw from WF, that's like, you know, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck compared to what I write about. So anyway, if you're interested, go get a hold of me at dudewake42@gmail. If you're on Google Docs, hey bud, you'll be able to, I'll be able to email you my documents. It's a little more complicated if you've got somebody else. But anyway, that's about it. Any publishers out there, you know, Jeffy Bezos, you know, I'm ready. I mean, I worked for you guys before. I'm ready to do it again. budding, and just go look at my track record. I'm pretty good at being successful for you, but I always serve God first, and so that's good for you. Too bad you often don't realize that, but it doesn't matter because it always works out. And that's why I'm still here, I shouldn't be. 2014 was, I should have been toast, but I'm not. So I gave up everything materialistically, basically. And here I am to serve love's co-creation. Right? That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm doing. And it's much more fun, a lot easier. I don't have to be anything other than what God wants me to be. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to let you see how much juice do I have left. Yeah. Got about a few minutes. I got some other things to do on my laptop. So, okay, guys, you stay well. I'll talk to you later. Again, get a hold of me at dudewake42 at Gmail. Dudewake42 at Gmail. If you got a phone number here in America, give it to me and we can talk. Right? So, I'll talk to you later. God bless.